Hello everyone, this is Gorax and today I'm gonna show you my first tier list. This is going to be Temporal Vortex tier list that will include teams with exclusive heroes and exclusive artifact, and also exclusive heroes without exclusive artifacts, so you can see which teams are worth investing into and which teams you can build to compete. All of this information will be available in the spreadsheet that will be in the video description and in the comments as well. Creating this spreadsheet took some time because not only you will be able to see which team is the best, you will also see how we build them. And there will be links to each the video with the in-depth strategy as well. Before we start from the bottom to the top, I just want to remind you guys that there's only a couple days to use creator bond code that will grant you free rewards and also allow me to give you out more free codes when the giveaways happen. All the teams were tested using the same level of Psychic Core, only up to level 5. And there were no special upgrades on equipment like Elemental Ascension and Tempa, so your damage might be even higher than mine when you watch this video. Also, no heroes have been inspired. Also, I need to highlight how the tier system will work. Tier 2 will be the bottom tier, which means basically if you don't have what's shown in the screen, you should avoid playing this team as other teams will do way better. Tier 0 is currently the best team that will outscale any other team. So without further ado, let's start with the lowest on the list. And down on the bottom we have Salmon team in tier 2. This team with Lelvanis and exclusive artifact can do around 291 million with my current gear and setup. We're gonna use Premsta, Cinderella and Urzilas to help us dish out the damage. Premsta will be the secondary damage dealer. Felocia will be the support of our choice, as currently shielders are doing really well, especially with the equipment they can put on. Equipment is not easy to obtain. We need 4 mythics on both Lelvanis and Premsta. However, Platinum set on Premsta and Gambler set on Lelvanis will work. Don't even try this team without an exclusive artifact because your damage will be significantly lower. We're gonna bring a Puppeteer and 3 ears set as well, with 1 ancestral protection to mitigate the damage. Skill timings and everything else is explained in the video that you can see on my YouTube channel. So if you want an in-depth guide, make sure you go and watch this video. The main issue with this team is the lack of proper Witch's Remain applier. We have to use Urzilas, who is only a single hit on his ultimate, which makes it very random to have that applied. Also, due to Felocia being an frost or ice rather affinity, she's not benefiting from extra ultimate recharge, so she is not as powerful as Adolphus would be because we can't really rotate her on default, meaning the team struggles to survive the whole 10 minutes. Hopefully in the future the team will have someone who can multi-hit and apply Witch's Remain while still being useful and beneficial to the team. Slightly higher but not by much is the Poison team. Once again, tier 2, because if you don't have Lofier's exclusive artifact, this team will do way less damage than the other teams that don't even require the exclusive artifact on the heroes. In this team, we will use Lofier with his exclusive artifact. Once again, full set of mythics. Twitch will be our second damage dealer following what Lofier is doing, with a little bit of sustain as we will suffer and have hard time surviving 10 minutes due to Adolphus missing on the extra ultimate because he is the fire affinity rather than poison. We will use Corin to help us and keep the stacks of the poison up constantly, and Vikana as Witch's Remain applier, which will basically mean something similar to what we had with Urzilas. It will be rather random but works really well as Vikana boosts the damage of Twitch rather significantly. Now when it comes to the timings, these are the timings that I've been using, but once again the full in-depth guide of this team is covered in a separate video, so if you want to know why we do what we do, that video has all the details available. And as I mentioned previously, the issue with this team is surviving the whole 10 minutes. If we manage to do that, the damage will go a little bit slightly up. However, due to using Adolphus in this season, we can't really achieve that. Ogog team will not survive as long as that unless you maxed out the Psyche Core and have some inspiration on Ogog as well. Next, we're moving into tier 1.5, which means this is the tier where we are doing significant damage without using exclusive artifact on exclusive heroes. And the first team is the Dless Team. This team significantly outdamages the Poison and the Salmon team. It's doing over 408 million damage, and we're using Lamp on Nastienka rather than her exclusive artifact. We're still using the same setup as the one with the exclusive artifact, and once again the in-depth strategy is in the video and it will be also laying it in the spreadsheet, so don't worry about that. So what's happening here is we're gonna use exactly the same equipment we used in previous fights. So we're gonna use the 4 mythics on Nastienka with some extra lifesteal through this artifact. We have Farival with the horseshoe as well. The other good artifact replacement here will be the cap. Both of them work. We don't need much sustain on Farival, he survives just fine. Then we have Ivelios using pretty much the same equipment as Flora. However, we're gonna use this extra sustain here to survive the whole 10 minutes. Sufa using free ears set, helping us and surviving with this mythic artifact and also being our witches remains a player. And we have Aurelium Vest on Ihukatl with ancient protection set that helps us survive quite significantly, similar to what Adolphus do. No issues surviving 10 minutes with this setup thanks to this extra HP that we gain, because those guys, they heal like a truck through the basic attacks. Just quickly showing you skill timings of this team. Nothing changes really compared to the exclusive artifact version of this team. And as I mentioned before, there are no issues surviving the fight. The only issue is that Nastienka loses the damage significantly due to the loss of her exclusive artifact, but it's still more than Lothier with exclusive and Lelvanis with exclusive artifact can do in the Temporal Vortex. Next on our tier list, another tier 1.5 team. This time around, Wild team with Flora, but no exclusive artifact on Flora. The team is doing solid 424 million, which is slightly above the Dless team. However, remember, due to it being wild, it's wild roller coaster when it comes to the damage. The damage can go significantly up or significantly down because it's all random due to how the wild mechanics work. And as you can see, we're gonna use Fan on Flora, but everything else will pretty much mimic what we have in the main team that is doing the highest damage, if you saw all previous videos. So there we go. This is the mythic equipment set on Flora that will boost any other heroes as well. I mean, alignment set. This is the build for alignment heroes that is so powerful that it's just something you should build. If you don't have that, obviously Platinum set works well. 3 years on, sorry, Brotherhood, yeah, 3 years on Felicity. We have Erich here supporting us with the Puppy tier, and we have Caspar utilizing the 4 mythic build as well, with a little bit of sustain here. That is not mandatory. You can go for more damage if you're set and your Adolphus can keep your team alive. And Adolphus with ancient protection and the Aurelium Vest, utilizing these new improved timings, which I included in the updated Wild team. So make sure you look at that as well on top of the Wild team video where I explain why we're doing what we're doing. And once again, due to the placement, due to how Adolphus works, having him the highest HP, building him with enlightenment, and utilizing Aurelium Vest and the right talents, you can ensure that this team survives 10 minutes consistently. Now on to the next tier called Tier 1. This is the tier of teams that are good. They have exclusive artifact, but they're not the best variant of that team. So in our case, this will be the Dless with Nathaniel, able to do over 462 million damage. We still use Nastienka with an exclusive artifact, but we will use different support for the top tier Dauntless team. This team will use Nathaniel with the horn to boost the damage. Since we can't really survive the whole 10 minutes, we want to do as much damage as soon as possible before the boss eventually kills us. When it comes to other equipment, it's pretty much all the same as the top tier teams. We're trying to use as much survival as possible, but notice that we are actually not even using too many echoes of mountain equipment, because that drops the damage significantly and we still die, because sadly Nathaniel can't keep up the team as good as Ihukatl or Adolphus for the wild team can. So that's the biggest struggle here. Everything else is rather the same. Even if we look at the skill timings, you'll notice that we're basically mimicking what we do with most of the teams. You can try and change Nathaniel's timing to 30.5 seconds, as that will maybe help you survive longer. Some people have different results depending on the skills they do. For me, 21.5 does work better than 30.5, which is usually the timing you use for Ogog. Horseshoe on Farivol. You can also try the cap that increases the attack speed through the passive stats and grants you extra crit rate as well. This might work. Another team in the same tier 1, is a wild team utilizing Ogog instead of Adolphus. That's the only change. The team is doing around 485 million damage. Similar issue to the Dauntless team with Nathaniel. This team will not survive 10 minutes. It will be very hard to do so. This is why the damage is at this tier. If we could survive longer, then we could expect similar damage, even more, due to the horn compared to the Adolphus variant. So there's a slight mistake. In the build, Ogog should be using horn instead of the Aurelium vest, which I just fixed. And as you can see, this team will struggle to survive, but everything else will work in similar fashion to the team that is using Adolphus. We'll use the same equipment across the board. The timings will differ a little bit. We will use Ogog at 13.4 to ensure we survive and take the hits from those highest attacks. The timings here will also change slightly. We will move to 12.1 as we know this works better, 12 here, and 11.7 on Flora. So this will increase the damage just slightly, but it's still not enough to compete against the best tier teams, which we're going to cover right now. Next, we're moving on to the tier 0.5, which means I am second best team. I can fight against the top team, but that team, the top team, will outscale me eventually. And this is the Dauntless team that can do over 600 million damage. We'll use Nastienka with her exclusive artifact and Ihukatl to make sure the team survives 10 minutes. This is very stable damage. There's no much randomness happening, and I have an in-depth guide how to do what I'm doing in the video, separate video, which we will find links to. Once again, we'll use Nastienka with exclusive artifact for mythics, Tarivol with the horseshoe and the puppeteer set. We'll use Ivelios utilizing the build that does a lot of damage and grants us a little bit of extra sustain, which obviously you can replace with Precise Carnage gloves if you think, or you can see that your team survives no issues with this extra damage. And we'll have Sufa with Witch's Remain and Brotherhood set, which also has this glove. As I said, those heroes heal like a truck using this mythic equipment. And Ihukatl, Aurelium Vest, Ancestral Protection. With proper skill timings, this team can survive the whole 10 minutes constantly and deal very similar damage each fight, so you don't need to worry about the randomness like in the case of the top tier team. And moving on to the unquestionable top tier team, T0 Flora with an exclusive artifact and Adolphus as a support. This team can consistently survive 10 minutes. This team does a lot of damage, higher than Nastienka's team. However, this team has a random effect across the board, not only with the skills, but also with the talents, so the damage variance can vary by even 100 million. So while you might do a 600 million runs a few times in a row, you might end up with 700 million damage as well. However, in my recent video, I showed how to minimize that variance by tweaking the team around. So make sure you check out both of the wild videos to make the best wild team possible. And just quick look at what we're using. Exclusive artifact on Flora, the best enlightenment build you can do with 4 mythics, platinum set if you don't have those mythics, Brotherhood set on Felicity with a little bit of extra sustain to ensure we survive the 10 minutes. We use Erich with the Puppeteer set in this and Winden set. He doesn't do any derivative damage. However, if I remove this and put Precise Carnage on him, the total team damage will be slightly lower, although Flora has a high chance of upkeep of this debuff. So I kept it. I tried with Precise Carnage and the damage was slightly lower. Obviously, this might have been due to the randomness of this team, so you might be as well trying it with Precise Carnage yourself. Caspar, our second damage dealer, out of all the wild artifacts and artifacts available, the ring does the most damage. We're also using the 4 mythics build. If he has no issues surviving the 10 minutes, you can replace this this mythic and put the mythic that increases his attack speed. That will help with damage as well. And Aurelium Vest mandatory on Adolphus with ancestral protection and this this mythic here that will remove the debuffs. And skill timings, these are the tweaked skill timings that you saw in the updated video. So they work really well and they reduce that bump at the start of the fight, where we can get Flora with more stacks and increase her burst damage slightly and quicker at the beginning. To summarize, bottom tier, tier 2, Salmon and Poison teams, you should only play them if you got nothing else. If you don't have Nastienka or Flora, you could play them. You obviously will rank lower compared to any Flora and Nastienka, so consider that. Those teams will be still useful in the Continental Challenge. You might even copy them and it might work. We'll find out once the Continental Challenge happens. Tier 1.5, these are the teams that use Flora and Nastienka but don't use their exclusive artifacts. As you can see, you can still do really good damage if you build your team properly and utilize the best timings. And moving on to tier 1, which means we are viable, but there are better options if you change the supports. So Wild on top of Dauntless with Nathaniel, Dauntless, and Wild with Ogok. Those teams work if you don't want to use, for some reason, Adolphus, or if you cattle, you get them for free. They are epic heroes. So there's no reason not to. But if you love Nathaniel more than if you cattle, and I know some people do, or you have Ogok inspired and he's keeping your team alive for 10 minutes, then yes, you might consider using it, and this team might actually out damage the Adolphus team. Now, the team that is very close to the top tier and at some point was is the Nastienka with exclusive artifact and Ify Cattle as the support. Sadly, after tweaking the timings on the Flora, the damage has skyrocketed. However, the 0.5 team has very stable damage output. You will usually get similar results when you play it multiple times, while with Flora you will notice the discrepancy going high or low on some fights. However, there's no better team in Season 1. There's no one who can outscale Flora in a single target damage, and this just works so well. I covered 2 videos how to build a team and how to make this team even stronger and explain why, going over the mechanics of Flora. There's apparently even a secret strategy as well to boost this damage even further, but I had no time to test it. As soon we will have Temporal Vortex 4 and some things might change. Once again, just a reminder, Gorax 1 for the bone code with capital G. Only a few days left on this cycle. There will be a new cycle where you can probably just re-register your code once again. Remember, I have a Discord available. If you struggle with anything in the game, jump onto my Discord. We will try and help you build your teams. But remember, provide us with information, not just ask questions. We need information to be able to work on boosting your account. Remember, I can also take over your account and help you build things, but that has to come through my DM. So if you want a service like that, let me know. And once again, if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do, because we're gonna start Continental Challenge bosses soon, and they will require a new team building, which I love doing. Once again, thank you all for watching. Stay safe. Bye.